Of course, Jay-Z is in the Epstein files. Of course. But didn't I tell you this last year? And also in 2024 and 2022. Look, I know I don't have a big page. I get it. But what I want to say is that I'm very much in tuned and tapped in with the spirit. Now, what this means for you is in the same video, it's actually, I didn't even change the title. It's called 2025 American Gods, Jay-Z, comma, Where Are the Children, comma, something else. I don't know, probably something to do with the election. But in there, I was telling you that there's going to be a very, very clear transaction of spiritual power, authority. Like you're going to see the supernatural really be real. And so this for me is symbolism that those of you that have been called to another level to be defenders and avengers of humankind, your time is here. This is confirmation for me. Here's the title of the video. You see it has like no views. That's okay because I was obedient to spirit in getting the message out when I was told to do it. And I didn't want to. Listen, there's a few things in there that still scare me, and you can tell by how slow I am speaking. I am not even looking in the camera because the downloads were so for real. However, be mindful that this is not just about human trafficking. Is not just about violating children, which there is nothing worse than that. Let me be very clear, there's nothing worse than that. It also speaks to the magnitude of how nefarious business is on the higher levels. I have told you that the occult lifestyle uses sexual deviance to usurp power from the spiritual realm and toward things in the elements, toward things in the ethereal spaces in order to control you. This is like high contact level with beings and demons and fallen energies and deities from way long ago, and how they dictate the control over humankind. Listen, if you're not with it, if you haven't had dreams, if this sounds foolish to you, this is really not for you. But for those of us that have been, again, the black sheep and the outcasts and the ostracized ones who have special gifts and talents from a more divine place and space within themselves, no matter if you gravitate towards the light or the dark, when you realize that you have certain elements or giftings that the average person doesn't, this is your calling to say, what are you going to do? Now, I have told you, and I have told you time and time again, when it comes to Jay-Z, I personally don't even like to say his name. I can see him for who he is, and I just, he's charismatic as a person, but in spiritual elements, I know who he is, and I know what type of weight he carries. It's just not my thing to talk about him, but I just want to say, if you are surprised about his name even being mentioned, wait till y'all find out the women that are involved in this, your favorite faves, and the disgusting, deplorable things they do to children. Don't forget, we don't wrestle with just flesh and blood and politics and politicians and law of the land. We wrestle with principalities and high places that control the element of thought, okay? Who give governance from the spiritual realm in how to control and imprison the human by way of the law of the spirit. So please understand, this is a dual opportunity for you to come into yourself. I'm gonna lay back off of this because sometimes when I get information, it can be a little bit of a task, just having to protect myself. But I just wanted to say, spirit strikes again, spirit wins again. And honestly, it's really not even about transmuting or transmitting messages at this point. Like, we all have a task and a duty to uphold so many things. And so, yeah, watch the video. Like, I say some things in there that I'm like, God damn, I wish I would just kind of retract or redact, but it's real. There's a lot of people doing some not nice things. Y'all stay prayed up, stay covered, and stay close to spirit.
So I kept having visions of children living in deplorable conditions in dog cages, eating inhumane things. And also, like, there was this distraction going on in this vision of like people finding their children or their children being released and they're coming home to them and they're like, oh my God, I thought you were dead. And the children aren't dead. Like, a lot of your children are not dead.
One of the things that I did not want to share was a series of dreams that I was having the last 2 weeks and the first week of 2024 and 2025, where I would hear a woman start screaming with a gut curdling sound. She was saying, the children, where are the children? And she was crying and screaming. And every time she would come in to my dream, there would be hundreds of children they were being escorted to run from one location to another, and it was like somebody was trying to hide them. And these are children that are being looked for currently. However, in the dream, they weren't any they weren't in a location that I could tell you. Like, I couldn't say, oh, they're in Florida, or they're in California. I couldn't say that because they weren't on the surface. They were, I'm going to assume they were underground, but there was fire underground. And so I don't know if I want to put this together like one and one says this, but I'm going to say, and I didn't want to say this then because I didn't want to be seen as insensitive, that these California fires may or may not have been hiding something to do with children. Now, when Sinead O'Connor passed away, I told you that there were children that are everywhere, like they're housed places, they're places, and there are going to be children that are going to be released, and people are going to be like, we thought you were dead because it was like 10, 15 years. And then there are going to be children that are going to be trafficked, and there's going to be an exchange, right? And there's been proof and evidence. And this is when I first started this channel, so it's that video is still in the shorts. But in this dream that I had been having for the past few weeks, there were the children were running and screaming because somebody within this nasty pedophilic ring has decided that they no longer want to be a part of it, and they're trying to shuffle the children around so hopefully the children can find their way back home, or somebody can help them. And some of this running around that was happening, I'm going to tell you, was during these California fires. Now, I asked the Spirit, I said, Holy Spirit, what are these fires? Like, what is this fire? What is this fire? And I got the word back, Maui. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. Um, I do think that President Trump is going to try to criminalize some of these corrupt politicians. Um, some of them. I think what we're looking at is this is a very big game, and none of us really have a point of origin. We're all pawns, and this is very, this is a very, this is a very dangerous game. This is because it's spiritual. It's siphoning of energy. Blood had to, blood was shed. Uh, and I think that we all have to be very vigilant because this is a part of the spiritual warfare that is at hand. And one of the words that I heard also in the midst of having these dreams, this vision, the whole Jay-Z thing, Beyonce coming out in Houston and all of that, was Machiavelli. And so one of the things that I do know is that when you have enough money, you can do whatever you need to do, to get whatever you need done, right? And so one of the things that I want to also be mindful of is that we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but that we wrestle with principalities in high places. And that we have to be careful, y'all. I'm really trying to be careful with what I say. So, yeah, Machiavelli, pseudocide, there's going to be a lot of different, this is going to be a real game of magicianry, magic. And, you know, you just have to be careful what you're looking at, what direction you're looking at, because they may say, hey, look over here. Don't look over there. Because what's really going on is not even in that direction. Remember that all the world is a stage and all the men and women are merely players. Um, you can choose to participate. I would say continue to find light and levity in the things that really matter, because it's about to be a shit show out here. That probably wasn't the holiest way to say that, but